There was a report out saying that the Suns plan on retaining center Deandre Ayton, which is pretty strange because if we remember a couple seasons ago, Deandre Ayton got into a big argument with Monty Williams, the former Suns head coach. Then in the offseason, they signed him to a big deal. And this season, he didn't play, phenomenally or really was a dominant force in the playoffs. He absolutely disappeared. And now the Suns, with new head coach Frank Vogel, plan on retaining him, which is quite interesting. So I want to know, is it the right move to keep DeAndre Ayton with the Suns' new big three?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, who else would they get to play center? I mean, he did average 18 points a game, 10 rebounds, 1.7 assists, shot almost 60% from the field, and played 67 games. So he's a reasonably reliable player who gives you a lot of minutes. So who else would they go get to play their center right now? There aren't that many. There aren't that many quality centers out there that you could. There are some really good centers, but they're not available. Right? So who else would they get to play center for them?
Well, right now, he's the only center on the team. They're filled with forwards, guards, and only DeAndre Ayton is the only center listed on their roster so far.
I don't know who else they could go get.
You got Brook Lopez out there. You could try to
He's
trade
not really
for
a center anymore, though. Brook Lopez is a power forward.
You would say he's a power
forward. He doesn't play center anymore. I think he's better at power forward, too. I think he gets beat up when he plays center. I think he's big enough to do it, and he did it for the Nets for a number of years, but I think his better position is power forward.
Could be. Well, it depends on what you're trying to look for a center, right? I don't think you're going to get the same 20 and 10 that or nearly 20 and 10 that DeAndre Ayton gives you. He scores 18 and 10. My problem is he wants the ball a lot. He thinks he's a scorer. He thinks he's this dynamic player who could easily get a bucket. That's not who DeAndre Ayton is, and especially with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and KD, those guys all want buckets. Those guys are all bucket getters. And now DeAndre Ayton, he's gonna pout on basically on the sidelines or down low when Booker's hitting shots, Beal's driving to the lane, KD is pulling up from mid range, and DeAndre Ayton's sitting there like, yo, what about me? And I just think he hated on Monty Williams a couple years ago. Monty Williams is loved by every single player, it seems like, in the NBA. It seemed like he was 1 foot out the door last year. Then they re-signed him to a massive deal this year. He plays, and in the playoffs, he disappears against Jokic. Jokic absolutely dominated him in the paint. It was like Ayton wasn't even there. And
Jokic,
I
you know what? That's not the fairest comparison. Jokic could dominate everybody.
That's fair. No, I'll 100% give you that. Yeah. Some of the centers that you could get that is a free agent right now is Christian Wood from Dallas. He's a young player. Brook Lopez you could also get. Andre Drummond, he's beyond his prime, I think. Like Andre Drummond, I don't think. He used to be a rebound machine. 20 rebounds there, 25 rebounds, and then he just disappeared now. Blake Griffin, he's still there. You pick up some Blake Griffin.
He's way past his prime.
Vucevic you can get. He's an older center. There's a couple guys that you can get that are all-stars and starters, but a lot of them are role players that I don't think can necessarily match DeAndre Ayton. But I think if you don't need to match DeAndre Ayton, what's your motor? Because right now DeAndre Ayton, I don't think has much of a motor left at all. Because I don't see that drive, that determination, and if he doesn't get the shots he thinks he deserves, he pouts. He gets all upset because he thinks he's one of the main bucket getters on the Suns.
Well, maybe the coaching change will be good for him.
I'm sure he will. For me, it's not the right move. It isn't. You could find more forwards, get a couple more forwards to maybe fill that center spot. I think maybe the Knicks could probably give you something for DeAndre Ayton.
Hartenstein.
No, Mitchell. Here's the thing. Mitchell Robinson. He's an interior guy, defense and rebounds. You don't need him to get a bucket to be successful. That's what the Knicks. That's what the Knicks need, a guy like DeAndre Ayton. Because if Randall is having an off day, which he tends to do, you have DeAndre Ayton who averages nearly 20 and 10. Which could help out the Knicks. And the Suns in return, you don't need a guy that is super dependent on getting touches because you have Beal, Booker, and KD. You have a guy that could play defense, which Ayton has a tough time doing against the bigger guys. And you have a guy who could rebound. And you have a guy down low primarily. You don't need to send him out in the wing or keep him
I think you'd have to add something to Mitchell Robinson to do Ayton.
No, you would. But I'm saying that would be a decent trade. The skill level is obviously not there because Mitchell isn't a 20 and 10 guy. But on the rebounds and the defensive side, I think you sort of, it'd be not terribly close, but close enough where you could add other pieces to make a more even trade. But I think
maybe that might be something that
Ayton
could be
to the
considered.
Knicks, Mitchell Robinson to the Suns. I think that would be a decent trade. Or you could pick up like a Brook Lopez, but then again, Brook Lopez, he's an older center, he's a shooter, not a tremendous defender.
Doesn't like to play center.
So I'm saying you may need to go out and get some sort of a trade going with another team, but then again, you don't really have the assets because you have no bench. So it's now just Beal, KD, and Booker and Ayton. Those are your only guys that really have substantial value. You really have nobody else that has significant trade value. So I'm not sure what exactly the Suns will do.
Who's on the bench for the Suns now?
You got Cameron Payne, who's been there for a hot minute, Ishmael Wainwright, Isaiah Todd, Jordan Goodwin, who I believe they might have just drafted. Oh, no, they got by a trade, sorry. I'm not sure exactly what you can get out of the Suns because you literally have nobody.
Did they pick up anybody in the draft?
I don't have the draft picks in front of me. But then again, I don't think you would trade a draft choice that you just made. At least I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I think you actually want some of that.
I wonder if they got a center.
Talent.
I wonder if they had a center. I don't know.
But then again, he's a center. So what are you gonna like? Or he's a young center. You're gonna put him up. You're gonna put him against a guy like Giannis or Jokic,
you're not, but,
and just say, "Hey, here, you're starting the lineup over Ayton." I'm not sure that's a great idea. So. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him because it's like, what other options?
I think they will
have?
because I don't think they have many other options. But maybe the Mitchell Robinson thing is something you could pull off. I don't know.
But then again, you have to put up with him not being happy with getting touches when KD, Booker, and Beal go off. Because guess what? He wants to get that bucket.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Mitchell Robinson trade might be something that could work because Mitchell Robinson doesn't like to shoot first. He's a defensive type of guy, rebounder.
That's what I'm going with. I'm sure there are other teams. The first name that pops off to my head, though, that makes the most sense, a guy that doesn't need a bucket, the guy that's rebounding in defense primarily, Mitchell Robinson off the top of my head. So I'm sure there are other options, but once again.
Well, it sounds like they're not going to trade him.
Yeah, but based on what they're saying and maybe what Frank Vogel can get out of DeAndre Ayton, they'll keep him. He'll average 20 and 10 or nearly. Who knows? Maybe the numbers will drop off, at least points-wise, because maybe Beal demands more points than Chris Paul did. Because it was Chris Paul, a hint of KD, and Devin Booker that were their main bucket getters. Chris Paul wasn't a tremendous scorer. So maybe Beal averaging nearly 20. Maybe you only get 15, 12 points out of Ayton. And maybe you get a couple more rebounds or maybe about the same amount of rebounds. So who knows what Ayton will, spice up in the middle of the season. Maybe some trade rumors mid-year if they decide to keep him. But I'm not too sure. But it'll be interesting to see what exactly happens with this DeAndre Ayton situation and what the Suns do moving forward. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.